Hello, my name is Jeffrey Cornwell. I'm an artist and art instructor in Sarasota. Since the year 2007, I've given a lesson out to my students for embracing our differences. And since that time, 21 of my students' works have been included as winning submissions to be displayed down at Sarasota Bayfront. So this is what brings me here. I was asked to share a few of my tips and tricks, or what I like to call content and ideas. Content and ideas are what I use to engage and involve my students in the understanding of being an artist and creating a work that affects change. The content and ideas I use are books, poetry, song lyrics, quotes, videos such as video short films, videos of famous people that are speaking on the human condition such as Dr. Maya Angelou, TED Talks, videos of slam poetry. Pretty much anything that I use speaks about the human condition, good and bad. There's also what I call the artist visual content. It could be anything from editorial illustration, posters, current artist, and artist of history. This is the kind of content I use to show my students how color, principles and elements of art are used, what it is as an artist to express an idea clearly. So how do I put all this content to use? Well, let me give you about a week's rundown of how I use the content. From the very first day, I will show a video. I'll start to read some quotes, read maybe some song lyrics, and on the first day I go over the expectations of embracing our differences lesson. I then will get them into a very lively discussion about what it means to be different. We'll talk about current events, historical events. I like to share a few personal stories from early on in my childhood when I first recognized about how people can be different. I also will talk about some of my current observations. This kind of gets them motivated to share personally their experiences. Once we do that, we break up the group and we go to Embracing Our Differences website and we start to check out the past winning submissions. There I ask my students to pick either one or two of their favorites and least favorite works, and then we come back as a group and we start to share in that group discussion about why they're the least favorite, why this is their best, and so forth. The next step that I do is I usually will end the class with a video. I give them an assignment that they have to go home and observe and see if they see any kind of representation of good and bad about people's differences, and come back the next day and report that to me. Then the next day we start a mind map, and that mind map is their ideas, their thoughts on processes of what they might want to create. Once they've created and finished this mind map, I then go and start the discussion about the visual arts. We talk about the color and the principles of elements. I start to show them the examples that I've gathered together of other artists and other artworks. Editorial illustrations are great because it kind of drives home a certain point. Short, sweet, to the point, usually without words. Posters tend to use words, but they are a great example of how to use color and elements in a piece of artwork to express an idea. From there, I give them a lesson on creating thumbnails and how they can start to flesh that thumbnail idea out and keep working with it until they have gotten really good focus in on their main idea that they're going to work on within the next week. Now, during all of this, again, I am sharing with my students the videos at the beginning of the class, the end of the class, maybe even during the class. We'll take a little break. I will write down quotes and ideas and songs up on the board. It's all about getting them thinking about embracing our differences even while they're making the piece of artwork, to remind them what they are making it for. Sometimes it's while they're working on their thumbnails, they'll scratch some of those ideas because they'll hear something or see something and go and have even they'll go, I've got another idea, can I do that? And I'm just like, yeah, let's go with that. And so they'll start all over again the process of thumbnails and trying to hone that down into an expression. Now, the next week, it's all about creating a piece of work. And it's about finishing it out, any final touches, getting ready for submission by the end of the week. I think the one main factor that I find helps in my students creating wonderful works of art is that I stay on them with the idea, embracing our differences throughout the whole process. I don't just give the lesson and stop short with my content. I keep the content going through all of the weeks that I have them working on the project. Some of my best students' works have been last-minute ideas that they've changed because they came up with a better idea. They were thinking about it. Something sparked their memory, something they thought of from seeing a video or thought of from observations they made. And that is what it's all about for me, is getting them aware again and engaged and involved and understanding as an artist what it means to affect change.